Time now for the Nick Hart Show, a special sports production of the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department, presented by 89-1 The Bash and the Gibson Southern Titan Football Boosters, including A&B Logistics, LLC, A&T Concrete Supply, Absolute Custom Machine, LLC, Angermeyer Electric, Brian Stevens Homes, Davis Brothers, Daylight Land Management, Daywig Meats, Dillbeck Properties, Diversified Instruments, DuBois County Garage Doors, Duke Energy, ERA First Advantage, Rodney Langford, First Rate Real Estate, Kent Kleiman, Foster Construction, Fryman Land Service LLC, by Fort Branch Car Wash, Gady Oil, the grandparents of Owen O'Neill, Grassmaster Sod Farms, Hobstadt Family Dentistry LLC, Hobstadt Summerfest, Heritage Petroleum LLC, Hillside Gardens, HMC Gears, Image Inks, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, in memory of Zach Bailey, Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Nathan Belote, Jackson Seed Service, Jarbo Tax Service, JJ's Concrete Construction LLC, JMCO Technologies, Johnson Commercial Mowing Incorporated, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Casey Fuquay State Farm Agent, Kathy Salmon Photography, Key Construction Incorporated, Kissel Wagner Survey LLC, by Kirkwood Family Dentistry, Little Titans Daycare, Little Miracles Learning Center, Lowry Ag Company LLC, by Marcus Jungan State Farm Insurance, Melcor Custom Cabinets, MyTech Systems, by Murphy's Stump and Grind LLC, National Vet Health, Owensville Auto Body, Parker Excavating, by Perfect Climate Heating, Air, and Plumbing, Cole Concrete Construction, Prodigy Mold and Tool Incorporated, Pro Rehab, Rawhide Golf Supplies LLC, Rooted in Him, Sandy's Pizza and Mini Storage, Shearer Monument Works, by Scotty's Lawn Equipment, by Senior Tequila, Solman Family Farms LLC, South Gibson Titan Lacrosse, Steve Faulkner Chevrolet, by Stodgel Funeral Home, by Tai Chow, The Brass Ring, Titan Construction, TYFL, the Titan Youth Football League, by United Fidelity Bank, Value Built Homes, Vernado Construction, Vomac Truck Sales and Service Incorporated, by We Simply Clean LLC, and by Young's Auto Body. The Nick Hart Show, a special sports production of the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department and 89.1 The Bash.
And we are back here on 89.1 The Bash with another week of the Nick Hart Show. The Gibson Southern Titans live to see another game. What a game! As your Gibson Southern Titans, if you weren't at the game or didn't listen to the game, you missed an incredible game. It was a 17-4 victory, 17-14 victory over Mater Dei. It was a thrilling championship game. And Coach, I mean, what was going through your mind whenever that clock hit zero and the field goal, it missed?
Yeah, just, really excited for our kids. Kind of talks about the whole postseason. This sectional is the best 3A sectional in the state. I don't think there's any question about it. Year in and year out, and anytime you win it, it's definitely a big deal. So especially going through, I felt like with our draw, we probably played the three best teams in the sectional. So not only is the sectional difficult to begin with, the path that we had to go to win it. So just really excited, for our kids to get to experience that championship. And we've talked about this before too, and I think our guys really love playing football and being around each other and stuff. So, just to get one more week this week of football for them and extend their careers, is a great thing.
What was the atmosphere like on the sideline with the fans as well once the field goal was missed?
Yeah, chaotic. It's probably the best word, but no, just again, kind of seeing the excitement on our kids is, what it's all about, and so just really proud of them and what they've been able to accomplish so far.
So this game was a little bit reminiscent of what happened against Evansville Memorial. The lead for Mater Dei wasn't as big at halftime, but it was still a double-digit point lead, and Gibson Southern was able to come out there in the second half and just not allow another score and go out there and just win the ball game. I'm not going to say that the differences that were made at halftime were the same, but what was the single biggest turning point that you felt shifted all the momentum in the Titans' favor?
I think the score after half, almost reminiscent of last week. I think, one thing we've talked about with our guys this week is, I kind of thought maybe the Memorial game was just a little bit of the way that the game flowed, but you kind of look at 2 weeks here, and our offense had this kind of attitude for almost the whole season. We've been stopped. But even after Vincent's, after we fumbled, everybody's saying, like, let's just get the ball back and go score. It was just kind of like anytime we got stopped, it was let's get the ball back and go score. In the past couple of weeks, it just feels like, we're not playing as loose. We're a little bit uptight. And obviously it's to be expected a little bit with the pressure, but I think we're a lot better when we're loose and we have that mentality, and the defenses we faced have been really good. So I don't want to act like it's all us thing, but to your point, I think to your question, I think that when we got that score, like that was kind of like, okay, now we can go a little bit and kind of change the momentum there. Then we got to stop right after that score. So, I think almost reminiscent of last week, just that score stop combo, right after half to kind of get the momentum and get our kids feeling good, I thought was really important.
It really did feel like it really felt like the same game almost at times. It felt like, both sides of the football were playing good football, and it just a few things weren't going in the Titans' way in the first half, but then that second half, I mean, it was a picture perfect start to the second half. What does this victory demonstrate about the resilience and mental toughness of this squad?
It says a lot. Kind of like last week, just group that's really invested in each other, not going to give up, and continue to compete. Throughout the whole game. I'd like for it'd be nice maybe to get a halftime lead one time.
Yeah.
Get it going from there. But no, it's a special group that really is bought into each other and the program and continues to compete and keep fighting for each other throughout the game.
And we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about this group as the show keeps going on. Once again, your Gibson Southern Titans, if you didn't watch the game, if you didn't listen to the game, you got to tune in this Friday. Defeated Mater Dei 17-14 at the Wrights Bowl. That was my first time ever going, and it was, that's such a gorgeous football field. It's just an awesome place to play football, is the only way I could describe it. And a lot of energy, and Gibson Southern was able once again to get the win. But we're going to take a quick break here on 89.1 The Bash. But when we come back, we're going to talk about the Gibson Southern Titans offense.
This special sports presentation of 89.1 The Bash is made possible by A&B Logistics, LLC, A&T Concrete Supply, Absolute Custom Machine, LLC, Angermeyer Electric, Brian Stevens Homes, Davis Brothers, Daylight Land Management, Daywig Meats, Dillbeck Properties, Diversified Instruments, DuBois County Garage Doors, Duke Energy, ERA First Advantage, Rodney Langford. First Rate Real Estate, Kent Kleiman. Foster Construction. Ryman Land Service, LLC. By Fort Branch Car Wash. Gady Oil, the grandparents of Owen O'Neill. Grassmaster Sod Farms. Hobstadt Family Dentistry, LLC. Hobstadt Summerfest. Heritage Petroleum, LLC. And by Hillside Gardens.
And we are back here on 89.1 The Bash with another episode of The Nick Hart Show. Looking at this offense, first off, I want to bring up Eli Foster back onto the field. How big and how important is that? Eli Foster coming back after being injured earlier on in the season.
Yeah, it's great to have him back. He's working to kind of get him back. He's been out for a long time. Played some special teams for us on Friday, and he's worked really hard to get back. So really happy for him to get back and get to kind of experience this part of the tournament, because again he's worked really, really hard to get himself back and ready to go.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome seeing him on the field warming up, full pads before the game. It was just pretty awesome to see. So I really wanted to bring that up. Now, going back to this Mater Dei matchup, talk about, you brought up earlier how great of defenses this offense has played. How has your offense been able to handle the pressure of these championship level defenses throughout the playoffs so far?
Yeah, sometimes it's been great. Other times not so much. I thought even in the first half, you go to halftime with 3 points, which doesn't happen to us very often. And, I thought we moved the ball well in the first half. We just weren't able to finish drives, when we were kind of approaching the red zone there. The first drive we got a penalty. I think it was the first drive. We got a penalty and kind of got backed up, or maybe it was the second drive. But anyway, in the first 2 drives, one, we kind of got a penalty and we got down there and got behind the sticks a little bit. And then the second one, kind of stalled out and they got a big sack on 4th down. You play a defense like that, and I think, we missed a few things. Whether it be, where we were on a route or a blitz pickup, or who we had or in a run concept. And when you're playing a defense like that, you can't make those type of mistakes and drive the football. And I think the one thing you look at our offense through the course of the year, we hit explosive plays. To us, an explosive play is a 12-yard run or an 18-yard pass. We hit those explosive plays, but we're not going to hit a home run for, an 80-yard touchdown run or something like that. We're going to kind of hit those explosives within a drive. I thought, we just didn't kind of finish some of those drives, early in the game. And again, a lot of that had to do with Mater Dei's defense, but, we got to get our execution and our swagger back a little bit offensively. I think so far this week in practice, we kind of have it's a little bit looser. And, now that we've kind of identified, I think our guys, have kind of loosened up a little bit, and we'll be ready to go.
So there is, and this is going to be a little bit of a different question than I normally ask, but there was a situation late in the game, and I know that, a lot of people have had different things to say about it. It was 4th and goal from the 5-yard line. And you decided to go for it, which I don't think there's a right or wrong decision to be made there. But kind of walk the listeners through what's going through your head in a moment like that. Like, okay, it's a 3-point lead. We can take the 3. We can go up 6. Or, look at our offense. You've got the guys to do it. If we score a touchdown, we basically we win the game at that point. Kind of walk the listeners through what is going through your head in a moment like that.
Yeah, they have a fine kicker. I'm not saying they just hadn't kicked a lot of field goals on the year. Yeah. And again, you're making this decision in the moment. After we didn't get it, I said, "Dang, I wish we would have kicked it." But that was kind of part of it. They hadn't kicked a lot of field goals. Part of it came down to field position. They were starting most of their drives at like between the 30 and the 35-yard line with their kickoff return. They kind of popped one early, so we kind of gone to a squib kick. So even if we didn't get it and they had to start at the 5 to drive to get to field goal range, or if we scored, if we kicked the field goal and went up 6, they were going to gain about 30 yards in field position. So as we're kind of thinking, or I'm kind of thinking through everything, there's probably more yards to go for them to get into field goal range than if we kicked off, and for them to go score a touchdown. And then a part of that too, I think, we hadn't used a 2-point play that we have been working on for several weeks. And I know we were at the 5, with what they play on the goal line. We really liked it. So we thought we had something, that would work. Now credit to them. It obviously didn't. They ran with Colin. We're trying to go like against their man, go like fake a roll one way and get Colin out in the flats the other way. And they ran with it and played it really well. But kind of all those things put together, we thought we had a good play where we could get up 2 possessions. But again, they hadn't kicked a ton of field goals, so I didn't know that going up 6 was really, that big of an advantage. I thought going up 10, obviously we had to get it, but going up 10 meant a lot more than going up 6. And then, even if we didn't get it, they were going to have to go, 96 yards to try and score to beat us. So, just kind of all those things, kind of put into one decision.
Yeah, it was a big discussion up in the press box, but I was on the side of, you go for it. You go for it, even if you don't score the touchdown. They're 95 yards away from the end zone. And you also you scored the touchdown. Look at the offense. Look what the offense has done all season long. I was 1000% for that move, just because, I mean, the numbers will tell you to go for that every time. And so yeah, luckily the decision didn't matter anyways. Gibson Southern was able to win regardless. So I mean, that's always.
I'm glad you were 1000%. I was not. I think we gained a little bit of yardage there. So we had on 3rd and goal from the 9. We got a defensive holding that moved it to the 4. If they hadn't held on that play and we had 3rd and goal from the 9, we probably do kick in that situation. Like right. 4th and goal from the 9 is different than 4th and goal from the 4.
Right.
So when we got that, that put us kind of, we were really in 4-down territory, and then we didn't gain a whole lot of yards on the 3rd down play. But yeah, it's one of those, it was the right thing at the time, I think. And anytime I'm aggressive. So anytime we have a chance to kind of go up 2 scores, and we got something that, sometimes you've used all your low red zone plays that you feel really good about. And that might change your mindset a little bit, but we hadn't really been down there. We really ran kind of like one play in the low red zone before that, and that was the shovel to Toby. That was one of the kind of like the low red zone plays that we like going in. And then, we had that one in our back pocket, and, felt good about it, and, give Mater Dei credit for covering it up well.
Yeah. And I think another point of going for it there is trusting your defense. I mean, look at back-to-back weeks in the second half, your defense has been absolutely stellar. And so you're also trusting your defense at that point. And I'm trusting that defense 9 times out of 10 myself. So one last question about the offense. Is there one specific area of the execution that you're wanting to hammer down heading into this next matchup?
I just think kind of our approach, that like just get us the ball back and let's go score approach that we've had for most of the year, as opposed to kind of like when I feel like the last couple of weeks when we got stopped, it was kind of like, uh-oh, like what do we do now? So I think more than anything of like cleaning up or whatever is just kind of our approach and our mindset and keeping our foot on the gas and really being in attack mode, and that comes from our kids, and it also comes from me as a play caller, is making sure that we're staying aggressive and um, you know doing what we can to put the ball in the end zone every time.
And we're going to motion over from the offense after this break to the Gibson Southern Titans defense here on 89.1 The Bash. Stay tuned in.
This special sports presentation of 89.1 The Bash is made possible by HMC Gears, Image Inks, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, in memory of Zach Bailey, Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Nathan Belote, Jackson Seed Service, Jarbo Tax Service, JJ's Concrete Construction LLC, JMCO Technologies, Johnson Commercial Mowing Incorporated, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Casey Fuquay State Farm Agent, Kathy Solomon Photography, P Construction Incorporated, Kissel Wagner Survey LLC, by Kirkwood Family Dentistry, Little Titans Daycare, Little Miracles Learning Center, Lowry Ag Company LLC, by Marcus Union State Farm Insurance, Melcor Custom Cabinets, MyTech Systems, by Murphy Stump and Grind LLC, National Vet Health, Owensville Auto Body, and by Parker Excavating.
And we are back here on 89.1 The Bash with another episode of the Nick Hart Show. We live to see another week, and I'm hoping to be back here on 89.1 The Bash with, once again, Coach Nick Hart. But moving over to this defense, I mean, we said it with the offense, we'll say it about the defense too. Back-to-back weeks, you're down double-digit points, and you come back and win the game. But I think a big part that fans aren't looking at is the defense in the second half. You're down 21-7 against Evansville Memorial. You win 28-21. You're down 14-3 at half against Mater Dei. You win 17-14. No points scored in the second half in now 3 consecutive weeks, I guess, against Vincent's Lincoln as well. Kind of talk about what is happening at halftime with this defense.
One is, I think it's a lot easier to play defense when your offense is scoring, right? Like you don't kind of feel that pressure. We got to get stops. But no, nothing big. I think we kind of settle in a little bit. Like you look at the first half, I thought our defense was phenomenal the entire night. The first touchdown, we fit it really well. Didn't finish the tackle. A great run by their kid. Bounced off. We kind of had 2 guys in the hole there to make the play, and he broke the tackle and went and made it. And then on their next drive, just kind of like an unfortunate thing is their quarterback went to scramble around, and they kind of went scramble drill, and their kid pivoted. Our corner ran into the official, and it wasn't the official's fault. It was just kind of one of those freak things that happened, and that led to a big play. I thought our defense was, I know they gave up 14 in the first half, but man, I thought they really kept us in the game early, and then obviously we're a big reason why we won the game late. So thought they did a really good job. We kind of, limited the big play and made them drive the football for most of the night. And, I thought those guys did a great job defensively.
Is there a specific group from this defense that you felt like really turned the tide and has really turned the tide all season for this Gibson Southern defense?
Well, I mean, it starts up front for us. I thought our front did a great job. Causing havoc in the run game, got a few sacks and got some pressure even on some times that there weren't sacks, in the passing game. But I thought we played, really, really soundly at all 3 levels. But yeah, anytime you talk about, our defense and stuff, it starts up front with what those guys are able to do.
And we're going to keep this segment a little bit short because I want to make sure that we get as much out of this last segment as possible. Once again, this upcoming Friday at home against Indian Creek, and make sure to stay tuned in on 89.1 The Bash as we're going to deep dive into that matchup.
This special sports presentation of 89.1 The Bash is made possible by Perfect Climate Heating, Air, and Plumbing, Cole Concrete Construction, Prodigy Mold and Tool Incorporated, Pro Rehab, Rawhide Golf Supplies LLC, Rooted in Him, Sandy's Pizza and Mini Storage, Shearer Monument Works, by Scotty's Lawn Equipment, by Senior Tequila, Solman Family Farms LLC, South Gibson Titan Lacrosse, Steve Faulkner Chevrolet, by Stodgel Funeral Home, by Tai Chow, The Brass Ring, Titan Construction, TYFL, the Titan Youth Football League, by United Fidelity Bank, Value Built Homes, Bernardo Construction, Vomac Truck Sales and Service Incorporated, by We Simply Clean LLC, and by Young's Auto Body.
And we are back here on 89.1 The Bash with another episode of the Nick Hart Show. Coach, like I said before the break, at home against Indian Creek. First and foremost, this is the last home game regardless for, your seniors. Kind of talk about what that means, what this game in that sense means to you.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I don't really get into that a whole lot. We kind of do the senior night thing in the regular season and honor those guys. Like I think when you get to the tournament, it's all about, every week from last week on, you're playing for not only you're playing for a trophy, you're playing to, extend your season one more week. The thing we talked about a lot this week is, there's only 8 other teams in Class 3A that are getting to do what we get to do this week, and next week that number will drop to 4. So, you get to this level, you're going to play great teams. It's a great opportunity, and like to me that means more. And obviously we're happy to be at home. We'd rather be at home than be on the road, but I don't get into the whole with this last time you're ever going to play here type of thing. I think we just try and focus on the game and what we got to do, and be as prepared as we can. So hopefully next week we're one of the 4 that's left standing.
And you've been thrown an absolute gauntlet during the playoffs. You went from Vincent's Lincoln, a solid Vincent's Lincoln squad, to Evansville Memorial, to Mater Dei, and now to Indian Creek, who's another top 10 ranked team in 3A in the state of Indiana. Kind of give the fans and the listeners a little bit of perspective when it comes to this upcoming game against Indian Creek.
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job. They made a big jump this year. They're 8-3. And really all 3 of their losses are by a touchdown or less. So, even in those 3 games, they're right there, against some quality opponents. They're a pretty young team. When you look at them, they have 3 seniors on offense and 3 on defense. And, but they don't necessarily play like a young team. I think they've really kind of grown up as the season's gone on. And, they're playing their best football of the year right now.
Where do you keying in offensively and defensively when preparing for Indian Creek?
Yeah, I think offensively, a lot of weapons. The quarterback's a sophomore, but he's a big kid, like 6'4", 210. He runs the ball really well, and they get him involved in the running game. But I think he throws it really well, and he's got some weapons out at receiver. So. That presents some issues, but they want to run the ball first, and I think that's why I say that presents some issues. Is they're very effective throwing the ball, especially pushing the ball down the field. But it starts at they've got over 1,000-yard rusher in the backfield. He does a great job, and their O-line does a great job. In the run game stuff. So. I think it's always difficult, and I think we kind of maybe fit into this model when, when you're a run-first team, but, you throw the ball efficiently and you can push it down the field and make big plays out of the passing game. it really kind of keeps you honest as a defense.
You've mentioned that, this Indian Creek team is, a little bit of a younger squad, and, they've got a second-year head coach as well. Do you think, and, let me rephrase that. How important is it for your Titans to have this experience? I mean, Zach Foster's been there. A lot of these guys have been there in these big games, and as well as yourself. How important is experience when looking at this matchup?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out on Friday. I think, I'd rather, be older and more experienced than not. But, they're a very capable football team. He's a second-year head coach. They're very well coached on both sides of the ball. He's a second-year head coach, but, he's been to the state finals as a coordinator. So he knows what it takes. Their kids have, played in some big ball games this year. I think, early in the year, I think experience matters a little bit more than it does. I mean, we're in week 13 now. Everybody's kind of been through the battles and grown up and, some of those type of things as well. So, they do a great job. You can kind of tell the impact that coach has made there from year one to year two and really kind of starting to put his, footprint on the program. We talked about their offense. Defensively, they're really good. I think I know he's a defensive guy. They're going to run a 3-4 and give you a bunch of different looks in the secondary with what they do. And, you just look at their scores. They're not giving up very many points. I think there's a couple games where, they gave up like 31 and 29. But then after that, everybody's in the teens or single digits. So they've done a really, really good job all year defensively as a program. And, I think, you look at them, they want to run the ball, play defense, and then kind of take their shots in the air.
Yeah, they're coming off a big time win themselves last week, but thankful for another episode of the Nick Hart Show. I always love coming on here and talking with you, Coach. Once again, make sure to tune in either to 89.1 The Bash or come out to the Jewel for your Gibson Southern Titans as they will take on Indian Creek at 7 p.m. And if they win, we'll be back here on Wednesday at 7 p.m. as well. Coach, do you have any final thoughts or words before this matchup?
No, just really excited. It's really hard to get to this stage, especially with our sectional. Like I said, there's only 8 teams that are getting to do what we get to do this week. And, our kids are excited. I'm sure it'll be a great atmosphere and, hopefully a great football game on Friday.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, it's always awesome having you on here on 89.1 The Bash. And with the Gibson Southern win, we'll be back here next week. So we hope to see you guys next week and make sure to tune in on Friday.
Thanks for listening to the Nick Hart Show on 89.1 The Bash. Brought to you by the Gibson Southern Football Boosters, including A&B Logistics, LLC, A&T Concrete Supply, Absolute Custom Machine, LLC, Angermeyer Electric, Brian Stevens Homes, Davis Brothers, Daylight Land Management, Daywig Meats, Dillback Properties, Diversified Instruments, Du Bois County Garage Doors, Duke Energy, ERA First Advantage, Rodney Langford, First Rate Real Estate, Kent Kleiman, Foster Construction, Ryman Land Service LLC, by Fort Branch Car Wash, Gady Oil, the grandparents of Owen O'Neill, Grassmaster Sod Farms, Hobstadt Family Dentistry LLC, Hobstadt Summerfest, Heritage Petroleum LLC, Hillside Gardens, HMC Gears, Image Inks, in memory of Darwin and Eric Callis, in memory of Zach Bailey, Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, Nathan Belote, Jackson Seed Service, Jarbo Tax Service, JJ's Concrete Construction LLC, JMCO Technologies, Johnson Commercial Mowing Incorporated, K&K Excavating Incorporated, Casey Fuquay State Farm Agent, Kathy Solomon Photography, Key Construction Incorporated, Kissel Wagner Survey LLC, by Kirkwood Family Dentistry, Little Titans Daycare, Little Miracles Learning Center, Lowry Ag Company LLC, by Marcus Jungen State Farm Insurance, Melcor Custom Cabinets, MyTech Systems, by Murphy's Stump and Grind LLC, National Vet Help, Owensville Auto Body, Parker Excavating, by Perfect Climate Heating, Air and Plumbing, Pole Concrete Construction, Prodigy Mold and Tool Incorporated, Pro Rehab, Rawhide Golf Supplies LLC, Rooted in Him, Sandy's Pizza and Mini Storage, Shearer Monument Works, by Scotty's Lawn Equipment, by Senior Tequila, Solomon Family Farms LLC, South Gibson Titan Lacrosse, Steve Faulkner Chevrolet, by Stodgel Funeral Home, by Tai Chow, The Brass Ring, Titan Construction, TYFL, the Titan Youth Football League, by United Fidelity Bank, Value Built Homes, Bernardo Construction, Vomac Truck Sales and Service Incorporated, by We Simply Clean LLC, and by Young's Auto Body. The Nick Hart Show, a special sports production of the Wabash Valley College Radio, TV, and Digital Media Department, and 89.1 The Bash.